Hello and welcome to episode 180 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is February 22nd, and together with Robert and Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
ACSS, or better, the Azure Center for SAP Solutions, has been around for quite some time now. We have lots of customers and partners using it to monitor, control, and operate their SAP landscapes on Azure. Today, we want to provide another update on what's going on and actually kick off a whole series of different deep dives with ACSS. And for this, we have Kalyani Namuduri and Sagar Keswani with us from our engineering team in India, who will recap what's available today and also talk about a customer use case and some scenarios and show us how ACSS can help. Before we go into the topic, maybe Kalyani, Sagar, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, thank you so much, Holger and Goran, for having us here today. I'm Kalyani. I'm the product manager for Azure Center for SAP Solutions. I'm not new on this channel. I'm really excited to be back on this one. I was here talking about Azure Center for SAP Solutions last year when we GA'd along with my colleague. So yeah, really excited to be back here. And like Holger mentioned, this is going to be a multi-part series that we're going to do this for this community. So that's another exciting part for this fresh start. So yeah, that's
Perfect.
about me. Yeah.
No, I'm really looking forward to this. And as you said, it was great to have you already on the show. And now you hopefully become a more or less a regular on the show to really talk about ACSS. Saga, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Holger. Hi, I am Sagar Keswani, and I am also a product manager on the Azure Center for SAP Solutions team. Just like Kalyani, I am extremely excited. This is my first time, though, on this particular channel, but I am equally excited to get on, talk to you about Azure Center for SAP Solutions, its different features, and keep coming back to this community for more and more updates.
Perfect. Really, really cool to have you here on the show as well. So, Kalyani, as you mentioned, you already talked about ACSS in the past. Actually, I think we had a sneak preview a very long time back with Aaron Stern. Then you were on the show and talked about the GA. But for those of our listeners and viewers who have not yet heard about ACSS, can you give us a quick overview of what is ACSS? Why is it good? What can you do with it?
Yes, absolutely. So let's start this first part of our series with a quick refresher on ACSS.
Mm-hmm.
I'll present my screen.
It's coming up.
Okay. So I will do a really quick refresher for anybody who is just learning about ACSS or may not have heard previously about it, right? And for those who may have already heard, I mean, this is going to be really helpful to just quickly refresh things for you. So Azure Center for SAP Solutions is an end-to-end solution that enables our SAP customers deploy and manage SAP systems on Azure. Mm-hmm. So think of it like a control tower sort of an experience for customers to set up and operate their SAP systems. So if you are a customer who is just getting started with deploying systems on Azure or migrating systems to Azure, or if you're somebody who is already running systems on Azure, then ACSS is for you. So please get started today. Get onto the Azure portal and start exploring this today. That would be my call to action for you all. So what ACSS does, I'll talk about that. So at the heart of ACSS is this virtual instance for SAP Solutions representation that you see here. So virtual instance for SAP Solutions, or VIS as we call it, this is a logical representation of an SAP system on Azure. And this provides customers the ability to visualize their SAP systems as SAP systems and not just a bunch of compute storage and network components like Azure Infrastructure Resources. Right? And it is this which is providing that integrated experience for managing, deploying systems on Azure. So the VIS is representing a SID So you have these ABAP SAP Central Services tier, the app instance database, all as child resources for this VIS, and the actual Azure infrastructure components are all linked to these resources so that you know which what SAP instance is being run on which compute, or what is the storage underneath that, right? So that's the the VIS is the heart of ACSS, and then it provides an integrated experience for customers when they have to use multiple of these Azure services for running their SAP systems. So take, for example, backup that's used by every customer to back up their systems, right? Or if they have to look at costs that they're incurring for running SAP systems. So Azure Cost Management is what customers use. And if you have to monitor your systems that are running your SAP, entire SAP stack, there's Azure Monitor for SAP Solutions. So all of these Azure services are available for the customer from a single integrated experience. So that's the benefit of using ACSS, right? And ACSS also provides advisor recommendations. So it acts like your advisor to ensure that you're actually running your systems with the best-in-class configurations for availability, performance, and quality, right? So just bring your systems here, and you will see ACSS advising you about multiple things so that you are running your systems with the best of configurations. And it brings together all these reference architectures and best practices that exist across various tools and frameworks, be it the landing zone accelerator or the well-architected framework, brings in all of that and bakes into all the deployment and management capabilities that it provides. Yeah, so let me just quickly show you, the complete experience here, end to end, right? ACSS provides a guided SAP deployment experience. So you are able to deploy an S/4HANA system in less than 4 hours if you use ACSS, right? Starting with identifying the right reference architecture to the right SKUs for compute storage to deploying and installing S4, everything in under 4 hours. And it is, while being prescriptive, it's going to be a flexible experience too. And it's not just a portal-based experience, but you also have other interfaces like PowerShell, API, CLI, using which you can deploy systems. Now, not only deployment, it provides intelligent and seamless SAP management capabilities. So if you already have systems running on Azure, you just can hook them onto ACSS with a simple registration experience. And once your systems are registered, you can now start managing them holistically. So the different Azure services that you use for managing, or you can also start viewing the status and health of your SAP system alongside the Azure infrastructure health. You can start operating your systems, for example, like starting and stopping systems using ACSS. And we already talked about the advisor recommendations that come in to make sure your systems are running reliably. So that's another management capability that you have. And not only management with what is already being provided, you can further extend and build on top of what is already available as the platform that's provided by Azure, and you can build your own solutions as well, tailored to your own requirements and use cases. So yeah, that's ACSS in a nutshell. And we will in a demo see lot more about what you can do in a real use case that you will have on a day-to-day basis.
Kalyani, perfect. I just want to highlight one thing that you mentioned, and your call to action, basically, how to get started. Or there are basically two ways how customers can get started with ACSS. One is really this guided SAP deployment, as you said, in 4 hours. And I really want to highlight these 4 hours, because it's not like just spinning up a virtual machine. It's really having a fully configured SAP system that you can log into, that you can run. So ACSS really provides you with the full end-to-end experience, setting up the infrastructure, but also helping you with the SAP deployment and installing the SAP system. So I think this is really something where ACSS can help you get started from scratch. The other thing we know that there are a lot of customers out there already that run SAP on Azure, that have installed an SAP system on Azure already before, and they're happy with this. Everything is done. Maybe they have their own deployment scripts to install an SAP system, and that's all good. But with a few clicks, and actually that's also something that I've done multiple times now, within really minutes, you can register an SAP system, an existing SAP system with ACSS. And that's when you then can really benefit from all these functionalities that ACSS bring. And that actually comes to a nice experience that I see, or that I saw with customers before. So as mentioned, a lot of customers install or have installed SAP systems on their own. Obviously, there's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of documentation available, but let's be honest, who reads documentation? In a lot of cases, you just get started and install your SAP system, and then, yeah, it works. Or maybe, I've done this always like this on premise. So of course, I'll do the same thing on Azure. I'll just take a virtual machine, I install it and everything. Then you run the SAP system, and it's okay, but maybe there is the performance is not good enough, and you're struggling. Why is this not really working? And then the troubleshooting begins. And I think that's something where colleagues like Goran come in, and they know all the ins and outs. They are really the experts. They know exactly where to look. But I'm a customer, and I literally, again, I just installed an SAP system, and I don't know where to look. And I think that is one place where ACSS can really help. I don't know. Can you help us, maybe, Sagar? How could
Absolutely.
ACSS help us in such a scenario?
Absolutely. Thanks, Goran. Thanks, Holger, for setting that context up. And I think this is a very key problem that we have tried to solve with ACSS. And what Kalyani is showing right now on screen, right, is how we have tried to solve it. So there is this key capability in Azure Center for SAP Solutions that you get out of the box. As you said, once you register, as soon as you register in your SAP system, ACSS starts running a set of quality checks. Now, when we say quality checks, what do we mean by that? On the infrastructure layer, as you can see on the screen, on your Azure infrastructure, as well as on your operating system, you have to set certain configurations which will help you run your system on the best of performance, availability, etc. on Azure, right? These configurations is what are being constantly checked in the quality checks feature in ACSS. And these quality checks span across different tiers of your different parts of your SAP system or components of your SAP system, right? It will check whether you're using the right infrastructure. It will check whether you have set up your VM and OS configurations correctly. It'll also check whether a file system in the HANA-DB file system, your ANF file system, are they correctly configured to give you the best of performance out of your SAP system or your database. Whether the pacemaker is set up correctly so that in case of a failover, you don't have a downtime. It will also check the application OS or the app VM OS for the correct configurations and the load balancers as well. Whether all of these are correctly configured is continuously being checked in ACSS. When I say continuously, I mean on every 1 hour, right? These checks are run, and anytime a deviation is found, it could be part of a maintenance activity that something was changed. And then instead of waiting for some event to happen and then going and correcting that, you would proactively, because of these checks continuously running on your SAP system, get indicated that there could be a potential issue coming up, or there could be a performance issue coming up, to exactly what you talked about, right, Holger? This would then help you find out on what resource that issue is, and even find out how to go and correct it, right? That comes into picture when you are registered with ACSS and you come and have a look at the recommendations that are coming as part of the quality checks. Now, I have been talking about it a lot, right? What I would like to do is show you an actual demo of this, okay? Perfect. All of this, what I've been talking about, yeah.
Sagar, before you switch over to the demo, I just want to recap a few things that you said, because I think this is truly amazing. And so first of all, this constantly checks that there's a continuous way that on a frequent basis these checks are executed.
Yes.
I think, first of all, that is already great, because obviously on Azure, in the cloud, there's constant innovation. So maybe we come up with some better ways to do. Maybe we have a new storage cluster or something like that. Maybe we come up with new storage recommendations. Maybe there's a new virtual machine. Maybe there are some new settings that are available in a virtual machine. And especially, I mean, again, this comparison to on-premise. In on-premise, I install my server, or I buy the server once, I set it up, and then there's no change whatsoever, which means I'm stuck with whatever I have. But in the cloud, one of the beautiful things there is that there is constant innovation. But the problem with this is I need to be aware of this. And that's, I think, where these continuous checks that are happening are super helpful, because, as you said, I'm actively notified that maybe there is now a better storage recommendation. Maybe it would be good to switch to a new virtual machine because there's a more high performance, or maybe the configuration of a virtual machine, the recommended configuration has changed. So I think that for me already is a super cool thing.
And just to stress, because these are also could be hundreds of best practices. And that's a challenging, and they're going through layers of SAP, of Azure, of SUSE, Red Hat, Windows, Oracle, lots of basically information stored in SAP documentation, SAP Node, Microsoft, SAP and Microsoft Azure documentation, partner documentation, and notes and best. It's huge, and that's really, I know it is a challenging. And it's continuously changing. So nobody would read it. I mean, you can't do it. You can't do it. And therefore, this is really amazing help. Most of the issues I've seen are actually because of missing the best practices. Missing the best practices, you know. And therefore, this has a huge impact, actually a benefit for the customer.
And as you highlighted, it's not only infrastructure. Sagar, you mentioned pacemaker configuration. And honestly, pacemaker configuration always scared me, because there are so many hundreds and thousands of properties that you can set. And then maybe you are an expert and maybe you change this one small flag here and everything is still working. But then when the failover happens, then nothing works anymore. So, and that's why it's so important to have a check that verifies also this kind of configuration, because you only notice when it's not working when the actual thing happens, and that's where it's so beautiful with ACSS that we not only monitor or check the infrastructure components, which are really, I mean, coming from Azure, basically a configuration of a virtual machine, but also what is on top of this, like the what Gora mentioned, SUSE configuration or Red Hat configuration or pacemaker configuration. That's really, really powerful.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you both for highlighting that specific point. You know, that customers can rest assured that anything new coming into Azure, they would be getting notified about it and be able to take advantage of it, advantage of the scalability of cloud by just coming here, having a look and seeing the recommendations, right? Thank you so much for highlighting that point as well.
Now maybe you can show us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'll do that. So just give me a second. Let me know when you can see the screen. Are you able to?
I think it's coming up. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's not start here. Maybe let's go to Azure. Let's start from the landing page of Azure Center for SAP Solutions, right? Like you mentioned, Holger, a little while back, that there are two ways of coming into Azure. You either create a new SAP system, or you register your existing SAP system within minutes into ACSS, and then you take advantage of all of the capabilities. That's exactly how you will also be able to take advantage of quality checks by simply deploying with Azure Center for SAP Solutions, or register your existing system with Azure Center for SAP Solutions, and you get this capability out of the box. How you can access it is you go to your the list of virtual instances or virtual instance for SAP Solutions that you've registered. From here, go to any one of them in which you want to have a look. the one that you want to manage. And from here, up right on the VIS overview page, you get access to this page called recommendations. And this is where we present a result of these quality checks. It's 120 close to quality checks that we're running, and these all are running at an hour frequency. If at any point of time there is a deviation found from any of those best practices, what will happen is a recommendation specific to that deviation or that specific best practice will be triggered and shown to you over here as an Azure Advisor recommendation, right? What you can do with this? First of all, you can access it right from your virtual instance for SAP Solutions or VIS overview page. You will see a bunch of recommendations here. Let's have a look at one of the key recommendations which could impact the performance of your HANA DB, right? That's the write accelerator. Imagine as part of a maintenance activity, the write accelerator was switched off for your log volume in HANA DB. Within an hour, you would get a recommendation over here. You can go have a look at what is this recommendation about. Like you said, it may not always be the case that you know what the recommendation is or you know exactly what the setting is. This could be something new that has come up. You can get more details about what exactly this recommendation is talking about in a short way over here. You can click here on the Learn More link and understand in detail what this recommendation entails, right? In addition, a very important point here is how do you go and enable write accelerator if you want to go and address this particular recommendation? You want to make sure that you get the best of performance. You can go click on the recommended action, and this would take you to that specific section in documentation, which will help you go and address this or help you go and resolve this recommendation, right? All
That's
of this
pretty cool.
Exactly.
Sorry,
can
Sagar,
you open Sagar this recommended action?
Sorry, Goran,
can you just click it on this?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, please.
And I just want to relate to the initial customer scenario that I mentioned before. So let's say I have a slow SAP system or something like that for whatever reason. Then I could go into ACSS. I could go exactly where you are to the recommendation page, and I would see, oh, look, there is a high entry with the write accelerator. Then I would click on this. I would see here the documentation. I could even click on the link to go to the actual documentation where it talks about write accelerator. And then I could hopefully fix it, and then ideally the performance issues are gone.
Absolutely. And this also tells you on top of that, Holger, that on which particular resource is this impacting, right? Your DB, as part of a high availability setup, your database might have two virtual machines. It will highlight whether the issue is in both of those or only in one of those VMs, where you would end up experiencing some concern, right? So as you see proactively, the capability is letting you know that there could be a potential performance impact, and even before the impact happens, you will be able to go and avoid it. Now, it might happen that every time you're not able to come here and check something, but you might want to, be alerted when something is changed. Imagine that is a scenario that write accelerator for you is important, and you you want to create an alert. That is also what you can do with Advisor. You can click on create alert, and this is the typical Azure alert experience. You can create alert, you can create hooks to different tools that you might be using in your organization as a customer, and you can set up alerts which would let you know anytime something like this changes and a recommendation is triggered. Right? This is another advantage that we get because of the integration with Azure Advisor. And additionally, you can also look at a recommendation and say that, okay, this is not important to me. I don't want to make this change. I want to keep it as it is. You can go ahead and postpone or dismiss this, right? So this is also a key capability of ACSS with an integration into Advisor that you get. Right? So that essentially helps you run your SAP systems on the best of performance, best of quality, by giving you proactive recommendations. And that's mainly the quality checks feature or quality check recommendations that you get as part of ACSS or as part of registering ACSS.
Cool. So, you said we have like 120 of quality checks or something like that in already in place. Are we enhancing the list of quality checks that we do, or what's coming up next, basically?
Perfect. Thank you so much for asking that question. So today we, as you saw in the slide that I had shown earlier, right? there are recommendations across the infrastructure tier, which help you with your file system, with your operating system, with pacemaker, etc. All of these today are available for different flavors of operating system, different flavors of your different flavors of the SAP system configuration itself, right? Or SAP deployment type. It could be high availability, standalone. It could be a distributed system. What we are going to doing is continue to increase this list of checks to cover more and more scenarios. And at the same time, also make sure that these are updated with the latest documentation or latest best practices that get added, right? So very soon you will start to see that there will be recommendations specific to the Oracle DB, specific to DB2.
Okay.
Today they are limited to HANA DB configurations. Tomorrow you'll also see these are giving recommendations specific to Oracle DB2 for Windows OS as well. You'll start seeing today what you see specific to Red Hat or SUSE. You'll also start seeing recommendations for Windows OS as well. So those are the things coming up. And as I said earlier, this is an ever expanding list. Whenever there is a new capability added, right? Or whenever there's a new best practice that you need to follow, this list will continue increasing and continue to keep you updated as a customer on whatever is the best and greatest on Azure, right?
Cool. Is there an overview of the checks that are available, yes. Or can I let's say I find something in my environment where I think, well, this should have been covered by the quality check, but it's not there yet. Is there a way for me to provide feedback or to add my own quality checks potentially as well?
Okay, that's a very good point, Holger. So today what we are doing is, as we continue to expand this list, right, we are definitely taking feedback from different customers. The way we have brought in DB2 and Oracle checks, okay, we will be bringing them in. These are a result of the feedback that we have received from various customers in Azure who want to see more of these recommendations. So yes, we continue to take feedback, and in a relatively later in our roadmap, we're also looking to allow customers to add, or customers or partners to add their recommendations as well. So
nice.
That will be coming up, and we will come probably to this forum again to talk about it in future sometime.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Great. One more key capability that you when you asked me about an overview, right, where I can look at it, I want to actually show something. So along with getting access on these recommendations through the recommendations tab here on your VIS overview, what you can also do is you can go to the quality insights option over here in the left nav from your VIS overview. And this is a workbook where a lot of information is aggregated, right? Including the same recommendations that you see on the recommendations tab. You also see over here. Along with that, what you also get is a summarized view. Now, this is very important because usually customers would want to know that if at all there are no recommendations, am I completely fine? Or is my system always running on quality, right? So for that, we have also brought up a summarized view over here. If you come to the Quality Insights workbook and have a look at this particular table atop the recommendations list, you will be able to see a summary of how many recommendations are there, what type of impact those recommendations will have. If it is going to have a high impact on your system or a relatively low or medium impact, you'll be able to see that. More importantly, if you go to, let's take an example of another VIS, right? This is CS5. You have 2 medium impact and 4 high impact recommendations. And if I go back to, let's say, the list and go to one of the other ones, when we look at CS8, you see that there are no recommendations on the VIS overview page. You can also go and double click onto the details here in the Quality Insights workbook. You can see that ACSS tells you that all of the checks that it is running have passed. And now you can rest assured that your system is running on the best or all of the best practices that are recommended by Azure for your SAP system. And further on, when I say you can double click on more details about your SAP system, you have multiple other tabs available as part of this particular Quality Insights workbook, right? You can go to the Virtual Machines tab and get additional information. And we'll talk about some of this in one of the future series as well. But in a very short way, I want to just walk you through what other information you can get over here. As part of the compute list tab, you get a list of all of the VMs that are part of your SAP system and some of their configurations. Similarly, you can get information about extensions, your OS disk, data disk, and some of the configurations that are that are required for a SAP system, whether there's a public IP, is backup correct, is backup set or not, is your load balancer correctly working. All of this rich information you can find in the Quality Insights workbook, right? Along with the same list of recommendations as well as a summarized view. So yeah, that's another point that I wanted to highlight.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I think it's really fantastic to see all the efforts that went into the quality check, because I really think, and I guess Goran can talk much more about this. I mean, it's always a struggle to find out what is the issue, because there are so many things that can go wrong with a system. And here you have a nice overview, one single place basically, where you can see what's potentially wrong with the system, where are recommendations, where are best practices that could be applied. So I think this is really a huge helper that enables me to fix to identify and fix issues with my SAP system on Azure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I also want to just mention that we will be linking some of the resources that will help you get started in the description of this video, so that you can go and get started with using ACSS and take advantage of all the stuff that we spoke about today. And if this audience has any questions, please do let us know in comments your questions or your suggestions. Yeah, so that's also something that we are looking forward to.
Perfect. And Kalyani, as you said, I mean, if we look here on the left-hand side, there are so many other things on ACSS. So hopefully in the next few weeks and months, we'll have some additional sessions with you on drilling down on these different topics. And I'm really looking forward to this, because I think ACSS really provides a huge value to customers running SAP on Azure. And yes, we looked now at the quality insights piece, but there are many other things where ACSS also helps our customers run SAP on Azure.
Absolutely.
Cool. Then with this, I think thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks for the great overview. Thanks for the live demo. And yeah, I'm sure we'll see each other soon again on this channel.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Looking forward to it, Holger. Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks, Kalyani.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Kalyani. Bye-bye.